let me tell you a story about shame. It's Saturday the 30th of May 2009. I'm sitting in an armchair in the living room of my family home. The evening summer sun is casting its final rays upon the wooden laminate floor by the window. It's warm out, but it doesn't feel warm to me at the far side of the room. It feels cold. My hands trembling, I pull my knees up towards my chest as tears start to fill my eyes and trickle down onto my cheeks. I type, "Dear Sir, Madam, I need your help. I haven't been living a life of homosexuality, but I've dishonored God in the things that I look at online and in my thoughts. I know this is not the way God wants me to be, and this is not who I am. This is simply the way Satan is tempting me. I haven't told any of my friends about my struggle. The fact that they're all Christian nearly makes it harder to open up to any of them. I dream of having a wife and kids in the future, and it breaks my heart to think that this could be an impossibility if I don't sort this issue out now. Please pray for me in my struggle, that God's power will rule in my life and that His Spirit will guide me daily. Yours in Christ, Gareth." Shame. Growing up in an evangelical Protestant community in Northern Ireland was hard for a boy who didn't always fit in. This place I call home, and for the most part I'm proud to do so, has had a complicated and convoluted past and at times a challenging present. Christianity has been a part of the fabric of our society for over a millennium, with evangelicalism finding its bedrock in the north of Ireland. In some communities, evangelicalism has become politicised and radicalised. The Zeolized faith has for many years promoted a puritanical and unambiguous view of human existence and its moral devotion to God and at times country. And so it was into this milieu that I was born and existed for many years. Shame. As a young man, I can recall a sense of difference when I related to or interacted with my peers. I was gentler, quieter, softer natured. I preferred to play with the girls in the class as opposed to the boys. I'd rather have a Barbie doll in my hand as opposed to an action man. And I was more interested in what my mum was wearing than what football team was winning the league. I suppose I felt a bit other. Aware of this difference, but unable to quite understand it, I still, as all human beings do, acknowledged, at least at a subconscious level, the importance of fitting in. And were I not able to fulfill all of the expectations required of a young boy in a conservative community, I put my energy into academic diligence and good behaviour. And so I got by, for the most part, and for a while. Shame. As a young man, I attended church every Sunday morning and night. I was a member of the Boys Brigade, went to Bible study meetings and summer camps. I was familiar from a very young age of the traditional church doctrine on sexuality, relationships, marriage, and family. And I can recall on so many occasions the feelings that I had when I heard the words homosexual, sinner, unnatural, or broken spoken from a pulpit in a church or a stage at a Christian event. Or when my friends would use the term gay as a pejorative phrase. My stomach would sink, my heart beat fast, and I would feel my face flush almost like a celestial warning beacon, alerting the gathered brethren, congregation, friends that I was different, I wasn't like them. But what that difference was, I would agonize over. If you'd asked me at the time, I'd almost find it impossible to answer or to say what exactly it was that made me feel so different. I hadn't the words nor the experience to name it, and I was too terrified to tell anyone about it. And so all I could do was at night, as I turned towards heaven and prayed, "Lord, change me." Shame. Into my mid-teenage years, the feelings became clear, and I began to understand what it was exactly that made me feel so different. I was petrified. As a young, naive, innocent teenager, I always knew my eye was drawn more to the captain of the boys' rugby team than the girls' hockey team. And when my friends would get together and talk about their latest crush, I would find myself playing along. But as I grew older, I began to understand more the true nature of these feelings. And with it came my first feelings of shame. In response, I threw myself further into academia and roles of leadership. If I couldn't fulfill all of the expectations, surely I could fulfill some. But no matter how hard I tried, the feelings of difference, other, and shame followed me. I couldn't escape them. At the age of 18, I got accepted to study medicine at Queen's University Belfast. I was ecstatic. And despite many happy years of new experiences, of learning, of meeting new people, These many years were punctuated with episodes and periods of great sadness and bitter loneliness. At the age of 21, I could bear it no longer. The desperation I felt to rid myself of these sexual feelings became overwhelming. And so on the 30th of May 2009, in the sitting room of my family home, to a stranger at the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, I shared my heartache and my struggle. Exodus International, an ex-gay Christian organisation promoting conversion therapy, was, I believe, my lifeline. Their assertion that the reorientation of sexual attractions was possible was exactly what I needed to hear. And so with their help, I began on a journey to try and alter my sexuality and my identity. Shame is an intensely painful emotion that affects all of us. We can experience shame when we are made to feel by others that it's unacceptable to be ourselves. And we can experience shame when we believe we'll be rejected when others see who we truly are. Shame exists in the not enoughs. Not successful enough, not popular enough, not skinny enough, not beautiful enough, not smart enough, not qualified enough, not spiritual enough, not good enough. When we experience repeated emotions of shame, it can lead to a pattern of socially avoidant behaviour, disconnection, struggles with authenticity, and the fear of vulnerability. It can cause chronic anxiety, exhaustion, low mood, and depression. Shame is intensely painful and can alter the trajectory of our lives. So what can we do to overcome our shame? What is capable of breaking the chains that bind us in cycles of self-loathing and the visceral determination to hide our true selves from the world around us? The way you move through shame is in the telling of your story to those who are worthy to hear it. Eventually, after attending one-to-one therapy with a psychiatrist and group work with other men who were gay, I stopped. I would love to tell you that from that moment on, I never looked back, that I finally accepted every part of who I am. Unfortunately, the years that lay ahead weren't as simple as that. I would go on to experience anxiety, low mood, depression, and there were even moments when I considered what it would be like to end it all. The effect of the years of shame and the feelings of not enough couldn't be undone overnight. Indeed, it would take 2 years before I would tell a friend of some of my experiences during my time at therapy. And I can remember that how I recalled just in casual fashion some of those experiences. And it wasn't until the look of horror in his face registered with me that I realised how abnormal it was to expose oneself to such damaging practices. Over time, I started to come out to friends and family, and their reactions varied. Some were happy, delighted to hear I'd finally come to a place where I had accepted my sexuality and all that came with it. Others, however, responded with looks of concern, words of theology, and declarations of condemnation. Escaping conversion therapy and the shame that drove me there was, I thought, my greatest battle. Finding the love I needed from those around me indeed seemed now even greater. A consequence of living in a community which was, for the most part, conservative and evangelical. But it was in the moments of unadulterated love and happiness shown to me by a special few, the warm, long embraces, the shared tears of understanding and relief, and the words of approval that I finally started to break the chains that bound me. It was in the telling of my story to those who were worthy to hear it that I finally started to move through my shame. In August 2020, I was contacted by Mandy Macaulay, an investigative journalist and reporter from the BBC. She was invited me to be a part of a television expose on conversion therapy in Northern Ireland. Not a chance, I thought. How can I go on public television and talk about such an intimate and painful experience in my life? The way you move through shame is in the telling of your story to those who are worthy to hear it. On the 20th of August, I met with Mandy and her team in an upstairs room of a city centre bar. And over the next 2 hours, I described in detail my experience of growing up as a young boy who felt different, and as a young man who felt that altering his sexual orientation was the only reasonable thing to do. A month later, BBC Spotlight broadcast its 30-minute special, Conversion Controversy. And in it, I and a number of others described our experience of growing up as gay and Christian in Northern Ireland. For those watching at home, it was the first time they probably heard of the term conversion therapy, or even the notion of altering one's sexual orientation. For some, it was intriguing. For others, it was eye-opening. For most, it was shocking. The catharsis of sharing so publicly such an intimate part of my life and the wave of support that followed has been a transformational experience for me in the way that I accept myself and my sexuality in the context of home. It has in no small way galvanized my ability to accept and love myself for who I am. I am proud to say that I am a gay man, but I know that there are many others who are made to feel that they cannot. The challenge we all face is how we turn our feelings of shame and not enough around. It's not easy. It's exhausting and can feel incredibly intimidating. But with the right people around you, it is possible. Speaking out so publicly about my shame experience within the evangelical community in Northern Ireland risked rejection and possible excommunication. Silence serves no one. The challenge to anyone who hears of another shame experience is then, how do you respond? Do you ignore or simply listen and move on? Or do you rise to the responsibility we all have to tackle the injustices we see around us? Furthermore, if you exist within the power structures or institutions which have either directly or indirectly caused someone to feel shame, and when you hear the stories of testimonies of pain and heartache, what is your response? Shane Claiborne, the Christian author and activist, says, if your theology does not make you more loving, get rid of your theology and choose love. Only 2 months ago, the Northern Ireland Assembly passed a motion in support of legislating a ban on conversion therapy, one of only a small number of countries around the world and the first in the UK to do so. How incredibly proud we should feel. Watching ministers and members of the Stormont Assembly respond to the experiences of shame that they had heard with words and testimonies of love in support of a ban was so incredibly moving. Their almost unified voice condemning the practice of conversion therapy was a rare glimpse into what cross-party support and working together can look like in the name of fostering a more inclusive, caring and tolerant Northern Ireland. As we consider what sort of community we want to create around us, I want you to do 2 things. Firstly, take a moment and remember the times in your own lives when you've experienced a sense of difference or other. Remember how that felt. Secondly, remember the times when we've experienced the greatest sense of acceptance and belonging. How incredibly fulfilling and peace-cultivating did that feel? Take the determination and the spirit that generates and use it. Use it to challenge and to speak up. Use it to change and to spread goodness. Use it to show compassion and encourage sensitivity. In doing just that, I truly believe that we can carve a better future for the places we call home and for the people who live there, creating a more inclusive, loving, and tolerant world. I'd like to leave you with the words that I concluded my Spotlight interview with. They're words from the heart, words I now try my best to live by, and words I hope you can live by too. Love yourself. Do not let yourself be told by anyone who you are, who you should love, or how you should live your life. Allow yourself to fully grow and blossom into the person you're meant to be. No more shame.